Hello and welcome to the D2C podcast. I'm Eric Dyck. Today we're exploring a unique partnership between two of my personal favorite brands, the outdoor blanket sensation Rumpl and the eco-conscious apparel trailblazers at Houdini. This episode isn't just about a product, it's about a philosophy, a journey of sustainability, and the art of meaningful collaboration. Wylie Robinson from Rumpl makes his return to the podcast, joined by Houdini's Josef, Nystrom, Baksaas, to unravel the story behind their fascinating collaboration for the Reconnect Puffy Blanket. We're talking about everything from the challenges of integrating supply chains to the ethos of circular design and how these brands are redefining the outdoor gear landscape. So whether you're gearing up for your next adventure or you're passionate about sustainable design, this episode is packed with insights that you won't want to miss. Get ready to be inspired as we delve into a conversation that's all about pushing boundaries and staying true to your values. Let's jump right into the heart of this innovative partnership. Grab your favorite blanket, find a cozy spot, and on with the show.
The word consumer is a word that internally we try to use the word user instead. Words matter. We live in a very consumerist society and that's a part of the mess we're in. We want to enable, we call it a live large with less lifestyle. So a key focus for us is to do really versatile quality products so you can have a smaller wardrobe. And that's actually something that also will enable easier to go on an adventure. You never know what's going to happen on an adventure, right? So you're always prepared. In that shift from seeing our customers as consumers to try to build relations with them, going from a transactional to relational economy.
If you haven't yet used Motion, the creative analytics platform used by top e-com and D2C brands like Fiore, True Classic, The Farmer's Dog, Hexclad, and hundreds more to ship winning ads, here's why you should try it out. Everyone knows that the right creative is the number one lever for success with paid ads. That's how you make money. But consistently shipping new winning creative, you're going to need your media buyers and your creative teams on the same page. Right now, you're probably spending hours tiring away going back and forth between Google Sheets and your ad platforms and tools, and then spending even more time plugging it all into different decks for the rest of your team. In a perfect world, you could have an elegant way to combine visual assets and performance data so media buyers can save time and creative teams can get the details they need to make great ads all in one place. And that's where Motion comes in. In seconds, you can build powerful visual reports using data from your ad accounts. You can monitor your performance metrics and see your visual assets in the same platform. No need to go back and forth across multiple apps. You'll finally have media buyers and creative teams working together to create and scale your next big winner. If you're ready to learn how the best D2C and e-commerce brands use Motion to ship winning Meta, TikTok, and YouTube ads, book a demo today or start a free trial at motionapp.com/DTC. Even better, Motion offers a monthly subscription plan so you can dodge those annoying annual contracts. Get 50% off your first month when you use the link motionapp.com/DTC on sign up. Wylie, Josef, welcome to the D2C podcast. This is a big one for me. I was just saying two of my favorite personal brands. Wylie, I interviewed you within my first, 20 or 30 D2C podcasts. And we had a great chat about Rumpl's rise. And then I just kind of came across Houdini as on one of my favorite websites called The Last Hunt, where you can get last season's sportswear at a big discount. And I came across Houdini, and I just ended up buying this shirt. It's become like my favorite all-weather shirt here on the West Coast. So then I was on LinkedIn, and I saw that you guys were doing a really interesting-looking collaboration. And I thought, let's do a podcast on collaboration with two of my favorite brands. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you, Eric.
Who can start us off here? How did this come about?
I can probably start it off because I think it was largely just a conversation between me and Nicholas. And so some context here is Nicholas is married to this amazing woman named Ryan, who years ago did PR for Rumpl. She worked at an agency in the Bay Area called Jam Collective, and she was our account manager. She's since gone on to start her own PR agency, but we've stayed in touch just through industry, and she's married to Nicholas, and that's kind of how I think we got connected, Nicholas and I. And he came over, and we sat down and chatted, and really before even talking about products or what we wanted to do as far as a partnership, it was kind of like checking each other out, making sure that there was good easy communication, and I would say that that's maybe jumping ahead here, but that's like for me the most important thing in any partnership is that you're going to be going through a lot of stuff with the partner, legal stuff, product development. There's going to be opinions, and making sure that you have a good rapport with the other side is really, really important. So we immediately hit it off, and took some mountain bike rides and knew a bunch of the same people, and that to me was a really good sign that this would be a good partnership.
And then Josef, from your side, why was Rumpl such an attractive partner to build this with?
Several reasons, I think. I mean, Rumpl is a really interesting up and coming player with strong brand ethos and strong products and good position that will match our in North America, where we need to establish ourselves more. But I think product wise it felt like a natural intuitive match as well, so that was easy to get hooked. And then I, as Wylie says, when you start to talk and you get the good flow and a good vibe, then it just keeps on rolling, I think.
And Wylie, I remember I asked you in our original interview if you were planning on going into other sort of verticals within either outdoor wear or homeware, and you were like, "No, we're mining blankets. We're really focused on blankets." And I imagine that made it easy because I guess Houdini doesn't build blankets. That's the other aspect of this. It's a perfect collaborative product because there's no competition in this.
Yeah, I mean, one real advantage that Rumpl has had over the years is there's very few blanket brands. I mean, there's lots of blanket products out there, but very few strong brands associated with the category. And as a result, we've had really, pretty amazing access to not only other brands to collaborate with, but artists and athletes and influencers. There's no like overlap in, somebody that might sponsor an athlete. They don't have a blanket sponsor for the most part. So we've had really good access to partners.
So what were the initial goals and vision for this project when it was set up? You sort of you met, you mountain biked. I think that's key. You got to get out in nature. Decide you wanted to collab, and then what were the goals and visions for the project?
I can start from our side. So for us, we do not currently have a circular manufacturing process, and Josef can speak more about what that is and Houdini's philosophy on that. But it's something that is super admirable. And I was really interested in understanding what it would take to create a product like that. And Houdini does that better than anyone. And so from our point of view, there was a big learning appetite. That was a real driver of why we wanted to do this. And then, just really good alignment with the philosophy of the brand. Sustainability is of utmost importance with Houdini, as it is with Rumpl. And so that part, when you can align values in that way, that's so much stronger than just having, two cool aesthetics coming together or something like that. So from my point of view, that was really the big driver.
It helps that both of your things look so cool too, though. We would, you know what I mean? Yeah. That does help.
It doesn't hurt. Yeah. I mean,
there
could be a partner coming to the table that has, great values, and that's all really aligned, but it just doesn't look like us. And so it's kind of like, well, what's this thing going to be? So yeah, it helps that Houdini is a beautiful looking brand as well.
Josef, could you explain the circular philosophy and how it relates to Houdini products before you get into why you wanted to partner with Rumpl?
Yeah, so the circular principle is that if you zoom out a bit, we're part of the outdoor or the textile outdoor industry. It's a $3 trillion big linear machine extracting natural assets and then creating products that everything goes to waste. So the circle principle is that nothing goes to waste, like in nature. It's actually trying to mimic nature in that way, in that sense, to make sure that that resources are used efficiently and not becoming waste. That's the main idea.
Can you give me some practical app of what that sort of looks like practically in a brand like Houdini?
Yeah, so we have a few design principles and a designer's checklist, and I think that's a guardrails that will help us to stay on course. The first question of the designer's checklist is, does this product deserve to exist? I think it's boiling it down to the first principles. And about circularity, it's not rocket science, but you need to have a mindful design and designed for circularity from the start. So for instance, it means not mixing fibers in textiles, not mixing. Houdini never mixes natural fibers with a synthetic fiber, for instance, because then it will be neither biodegradable nor recyclable.
That's interesting. And this fits. I remember when we talked, Wylie, you were going through the process of the carbon, the sort of climate neutral certified. So I know that so that's sort of like an approximation, I guess, or that's like could be a piece of the circular principle, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, climate neutral, at least the way that we look at it, is basically a self-imposed tax we put on ourselves. We measure all of our scope 1, 2, and 3 carbon emissions each year that we conduct as a business, and we simply pay to fund offset programs for that carbon.
Got it.
There's a lot that businesses can do to reduce their carbon emissions. But it can get very, very tricky, very scientific and technical. And some of it is a little bit out of your control. So we just say, hey, we know that we are putting carbon into the atmosphere as a business, and we choose to offset it with funding offset programs. So it's a little different in that sense, but it is all under the same sort of, sustainability umbrella. We want to be conducting business in a way that is having the least negative impact on the planet as possible. Conducting any business is going to have some impact on the planet. The best way to truly eliminate your impact is to shut down your business. But that's probably not going to be on the table for most people. We have a capitalist society. People try to earn a living. And so as a byproduct of that, businesses will continue to exist. So we take the position that we choose to offset the negative harm, at least from a carbon perspective, that this business has on the planet.
Very cool. And then Josef, back to the original question there. What were your goal? What was from your side on the partnership side at Houdini's? What was your goal for this collaboration?
As Wylie was touching upon, I think we had a great match in values, and it was easy to find to make it feel relevant and more than just smashing two logos onto a blanket. It felt like Rumpl is about amplifying magical moments, I think, in the outdoors, and Houdini's purpose is reconnect to nature. So it felt like a good fit because it's important for us that it's genuine. And then I think also Houdini is never going to be, I think, the biggest player out there, and that's not ultimately our goal. But we want to be the best, and we want to make sure that we actually are moving practices forward. And in order to make sure that we actually have a large impact, we need to create a ripple effect. And a good way to create a ripple effect is through collaborations and challenging a partner, using a partner to amplify your own voice, and together create a synergy that actually 1 and 1 equals more than 2. So that was I think the goal here.
And looking at the product, it looks like that's something. It's something that Houdini wasn't going to do. It's something that Rumpl wasn't going to do. But together, you look at it, and it looks like a pretty badass outdoor blanket. So let's talk about the product development of this. Once you decided you were collabing on a blanket, how did you make sure that it wasn't just a Houdini stamped on a Rumpl blanket kind of thing?
We leverage Houdini materials in this product, and that's really the biggest thing. And so it's our form factor, but we're really leveraging the material story of Houdini in it. And I think, to the point that we've made at this point, putting 2 logos together on a Rumpl blanket is not a real collaboration. That's a decorated product, a decorated Rumpl product.
Window
and so
dressing.
To bring DNA and aspects in where you really need to integrate your supply chains to do this, that's a real collaboration. So that's how we came to really making this thing feel like it had DNA from both brands.
Cool. And then talk about the material story, Josef. We're going to do a podcast with Nicholas Bornling, your CMO, in a day or two here, and he was telling me just a little bit about the thought that goes into the materials. You mentioned you don't mix natural and unnatural fibers. What else goes into the material story as far as Houdini's concerned?
So we have a few other design principles, and one is holistic comfort. So we want you to, ideally, you should be able to put on a Houdini product, close your eyes and put on a Houdini product and feel the holistic comfort. So make sure, even if we create, a fully waterproof 3-layer hard shell, that it's actually comfortable, silent, moves with your body. And that's everything from pattern construction to design, but also a lot to do with the fabric. So I think we, compared to many others in the industry, we have a really high standard for what we let through of fabrics. We work with a very selective supply chain, few suppliers, few fabrics, and that kind of meets our standard.
It feels like they'd wear it on Dune or something, right? Like if I was in the movie Dune, an extra, and if I was trying to, like, I feel like my Houdini shirt is what I might wear there. And they're conscious of they don't let AI or computers or anything in their society, so they're going to be very conscious about their
Yeah, wait
fabrics.
the next episode, next movie.
I know. We have to wait for so long, but and then you alluded to it a little bit, Wylie, but you mentioned actually having to integrate supply chains in order to actually pull this product off. Can you talk about some of the challenges when it came to actually manufacturing this product?
Yeah, I mean, really, our director of product would be better at answering this, but I can say that you do have to. So when you create a product, you generally get a BOM, a bill of materials, and that outlines all of the materials in your product, what they cost, all of the sort of specifics, the technical features around them, and that's kind of your ingredients list for building a product. And we ultimately sewed the product, we constructed the product, but we needed our supply chain to actually take these materials from Houdini's supply chain nodes and bring them into their system. So it just takes coordination. It's not that complicated, but it does require trust from both sides that costs are being displayed correctly, and timelines are going to line up, and you're basically introducing this new player into the other's supply chain. And so that's just a relationship that needs to be kind of ushered in and managed between the two factory partners. It's really no different than finding a new fabric or something that you want to bring into your product line, but doing it with a partner and bringing it in that way. It just creates a little more complication that you just need to be sensitive to. So that's really all it is, and it's not that complicated. But again, it takes trust and ensuring that the partnership is on good foot.
And I think, in the, like, if you, in a very, hectic business year, and a lots of seasons and production windows and everything that needs to be done, and then to get this coordination with another, it can present a lot of challenges. And as Wylie says, it needs to be based on trust. And I think that's, we felt all the way with Rumpl, and that's, I think, was one of the pieces that made this go through.
And then just product wise, you don't have Houdini blanket, so this is the first. How does this Houdini blanket compare to other Rumpl blankets? Is it warmer because it's using this more technical fabric? Is it still packable? That was my one question. Is it still packable like the Rumpl is?
It's definitely a little less packable than a classic Rumpl blanket. It's certainly more technical though. And what I mean by technical is the ratings on the fabrics are much higher. So the shell material is a 20K waterproof shell. That's like, what you'd expect with snow gear.
Yep.
It's the same type of stuff that a super high-end ski shell or ski jacket would have. I believe it has 15K breathability, which is a performance improvement over the 20K waterproofing. So typically you might find a 20K material that's got 20K waterproofing with 20K breathability. The lower that number is, the more breathable your fabric is. And so it achieves this really amazing balance of super, super waterproof while also being breathable. It's also really durable and burly. Like when you hold it, it's got some weight and heft to it.
Yeah.
So it just feels tough. Not that our products aren't tough. I mean, we have a really durable ripstop material that stands up to a lot. But this thing is like, again, like ski jacket bomber durability. And then the inside of the inner liner material is this really amazing C9 fabric. That we actually, after the partnership, we went on this like sourcing expedition to find something similar to that. It's very expensive material, so it's not going to work for our cost model, but it's just this really nice on skin feel. that I think your guys' top product, the Nano Air. I might be getting that name wrong. Is it Mono Air or Nano Air?
Mono air.
Yeah, what is this? I haven't even looked at what this is. It feels so
It's this
good, but
really amazing, like brushed synthetic material that feels like this may mislead people. It's almost like a silky kind of
yeah.
super soft on skin experience with paired with this really burly, tough exterior. So it's a really nice drape, really nice kind of
Yeah.
cozy thing while also being extremely high performance on the outside.
I'll just plug. I think anyone who's like, either maybe you like outdoors. I love the outdoors, but I also work like I like work from home like uniforms kind of, and I just feel like this. I wear this more days than not because it just feels like what I'd wear. Like I say on Dune when I don't know that they did podcasts on Dune, but if they did, I'd be doing a podcast in my mono crew. So the next question would be, who is this? I guess this product is for a Venn diagram of both your audiences and hopefully even outside of that. But like,
Yeah.
Josef, from your perspective, who is this product for?
Yeah, so I had to do some, research from at the start of this to get my own Rumpl and to try to scope out like the use case, and and my take on the Rumpl blankets was that whenever I brought it along, whenever I used it, whenever I took it with me, I never regretted. So it opened up, everything from, I have small kids to put them if it's winter and cold outside, just to tuck them into the blanket or use it as for camping, to add heat if I had a sleeping that bag that was on the verge of too cold, and just being at home outside, or so it was really something that I never regret bringing along.
And you
And I
get
think,
comments. People will comment on it as well, which is really
yeah,
people like want to know what you have there,
and I
which is
think this
cool.
is, along the same line as the other Rumpl blankets, and but of course in the materialization of our fabrics, and with this the waterproof fabric.
Very cool. And then from your perspective, Wylie, does this expand outside of your core customer? I'll bring up on our first interview, you were talking at that point in 2021 about a move to be on bed because 80% or a huge percentage of blanket use is on bed. Where does that goal stand now, and in relation to this partnership?
Yeah, so we actually engaged in a really robust consumer survey exercise at the beginning of 2022. And previously, when we did record the podcast, our big ambition as a brand was to own the blanket category, everywhere from your deep backcountry campsite all the way to on the bed, and kind of everything in between. Most people aren't really aware of how broad that spectrum of this category is. I mean, you use blankets inside, outside, in your car, in the back, like all over the place. And so we thought there was a real case for creating a brand that satisfied this full breadth of use case spectrum. In that consumer survey that I'm referencing, we found out, not particularly surprisingly, but we found out that our consumers really, really just associate us with being an outdoor brand. They want to see more outdoor stuff from us. They want to see outdoor content. They want to see outdoor use case, outdoor tips, recommendations, etc. And we are very much thought of as that sort of trusted source of information for outdoor needs. And so we shifted the strategy, and we are going to continue focusing on outdoor pursuits. We did introduce a product at the end of 2021, probably right after we recorded, which was like a really beautiful wool on bed blanket that it could certainly go outside, like a Pendleton or something, but you don't actually want to put something like that on the ground and get pine needles all over it and things like that. And the product did well, but our consumers told us that it felt sort of off brand for us to do that. And so you could chalk that up to maybe we didn't launch it correctly or whatever, but the decision's been made that we're going to refocus our efforts on continuing to expand our outdoor offerings. And they're going to be expanding beyond blankets as soon as spring 25. I know that seems like a long ways away, but it's about a year away. We've got some really exciting stuff that broadens the outdoor collection for us.
And by focusing so deep on the one thing, you'll generate this like authenticity where people will use it indoors as like a statement for like, I'm so outdoorsy that I use my outdoor stuff indoors. You'll get overlap onto the bed and into the house.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And one of the insights, one of the early insights to why we thought we had a position to move more into the home is because consumers told us that they use the product in the home a lot. And we kind of double clicked on that in this more recent survey, and we understood that people actually bring it in home to remind them of their outdoor experience and to be
Yeah.
able to share with their friends and people asking about, oh, this is a Rumpl, I did this trip with it, whatever. So it was just further proof that people associate us with outdoor, and that's where they want to see us continue to grow. And it's really no surprise. I mean, Rumpl is a relatively small company. We've been around this year now 10 years, actually officially next year, but about 10 years. And we have been super focused on blankets and specifically outdoor blankets. And that's largely due to, again, the fact that we're relatively small. We don't have huge piles of cash that we can leverage to expand into new categories or try new tests. Like the business has been growing each year. And so we need to reinvest any of our profits or any of our excess cash into continuing to expand what's working. And so it's been intentional focus, but it's also been kind of a byproduct of just not having an abundance of resources that allow us to test all sorts of things all over the place. So I'm happy with it. I feel resolved in where the brand is going and what we're going to push into, and it definitely. I'm just a big fan of focus, and so not having this shiny object of on bed in home products, while you start looking at the addressable market as potentially being slightly smaller, that focus is actually really reassuring and comforting because you know what you need to do.
Very cool. Joseph, can you talk a little bit about Houdini's focus as a business?
So Houdini has been around for a while. Yeah, I think we're closing up on 30 years. It started like really a project among friends. So Lotta, she's the founder, and she started to make products for herself and her friends that she couldn't find on the market. It was early 90s, skiing, climbing expeditions, and hard to find. Everything was unisex, but men's wear, really. And big, burly stuff, and not really technical in that sense. So she started to produce more tailored insulation pieces, so more specific, and then growing it beyond the friends, and then kind of happened to start a company. But then it's in the last 10 years maybe that is we have been growing and into more markets, and but still trying to do minimalist clothing that are good for you and are becomes an enabler to experience more without having a negative impact on the environment.
I like that. I also liked your take on DTU versus DTC. Can you explain that to our listeners?
We have a mixed distribution, and but the word consumer is a word that we have internally we try to use the word user instead, because words matter, and we live in a very consumerist society, and that's a part of the mess we're in. So one thing is we have been talking about circularity in production, but also if you zoom out a bit and have circular behavior, that this is also a part on how you consume, and we want to enable, we call it a live large with less lifestyle. So a key focus for us is to do really versatile quality products, so you can have a smaller wardrobe. And that's actually something that also will enable easier to go on an adventure, because you never know what's going to happen on an adventure, right? So but then you're always prepared with your small versatile wardrobe, or your high functional versatile garments. So in that, moving away, the shift from in our heads from just seeing our customers as consumers to try to build relations with them. And we talk about going from a transactional to relational economy. In that shift, it makes more sense to talk about users, because it's our users, and they can also access products in different ways. So we try to challenge the norm of ownership as well. So we do rentals, we do subscription, and secondhand we call it reuse. So
it's just more accurate for apparel too. You don't really consume anything. It enables you in different ways to feel a certain way or to do a certain thing.
yeah,
But
so
it
we
definitely
don't
is more
have
accurate.
D2C, we have D2U.
I was saying I was a young revolutionary in high school, and I was railing against the concept of consumerism as a way to organize society. And now I have a company with consumer in the title. I don't know if I can change DTU just yet, but how does that resonate with you, Wylie?
It definitely resonates. I mean, I use the word consumer simply as like a muscle memory habit, but I definitely feel the same way about the relationship that we're trying to strike with the people that we are selling products to. We want them to be in our ecosystem and communicating with the brand, not just for that one transaction, but for a very long time. And that's not just so that we can sell them more stuff. It's so that we can hear about their stories and help them if they need a repair or if they need to do a return or something. We want to be the node that they go to when they need to think about either buying a new piece of outdoor gear or getting advice about where to go or how to spend their time outside. We really want to build that relationship in the same way that Josef is talking about there.
What do you guys think? So one of the trends that I think is interesting is this idea of outdoor wear as fashion, which is one of the biggest. Living in Vancouver, Victoria, everyone has an Arc'teryx jacket. Like everyone is using very technical pieces in their sort of everyday life. There's this whole concept of like gorpcore, where people are wearing Salomon shoes and ripstop pants and stuff. What, Josef? Can you speak a little bit about the overall trend of sort of like technical outdoor wear becoming more mainstream and popular?
Yeah, I think we definitely see that the world of technical outdoor and fashion is kind of merging a bit. And I think our aesthetics and our how should I put it? I mean, we never tried very hard to fit into the conventional norm of how an outdoor brand should be or look. For us, we have always had our own way and our own expression. Um, and I think that's also it speaks to a lot of people now these days that really are mindful and curate what they wear. So and one aspect is the looks of it, but also as I was speaking to before, the versatility and people, especially young people today, they want to go to work and then maybe go ballroom with a few friends or I think we have a lot of customers and users staying in cities, but cities in approximate to nature and are living kind of in both worlds. So we definitely see how it's merging, and but it's also for us. I think we keep doing what we're doing, and it's important to not lose yourself in that, and just stay true to who you are and to your core, and then trends will come and go.
I love the Danish term hygge, which is this idea of like warmth. Are there any Swedish? And I love Schadenfreude, the German term of taking pleasure in other people's pain, which is a weird thing. But are there any Swedish terms around the ethos of your brand, or that I should know about, or any or around? Are there any Swedish terms or expressions that are particularly that I'd find interesting? Do you think?
Good question. We have something. It's a hard word, maybe. Allemansrätten. It's
Allemansrätten.
yes. It's
I get that.
the
Okay.
freedom to the freedom to roam. So it's actually a law in Sweden that you can go wherever you want to, and you can pitch your tent wherever you want to, even if it's land owned by someone, as long as you don't leave a trace or harm. And you can stay for up to 2 nights. So it creates, and you are free to go and to pick berries and to roam, and that's really a fundamental thing in Sweden that people take for granted. But you see now that freedoms are and land is being under contest. It's limited. So then you
Yeah.
you realize there's something we need to take care of.
Preserve. That's exactly what I was looking for, by the way. You'll have to spell that for me in the chat or in an email so I can include it in the write-up, because otherwise it will probably be lost to me forever. But I bet that resonates. I don't know is it like that in this? I guess I'm trying to figure out if it's like that in Canada or in the States. I think it's a little less free. That I don't know if we have that fundamental right in just to like post up, and you do in all sorts of places where nobody is. But I bet that resonates with you too, Wylie.
And one other word is friluftsliv. It's you have it in Norwegian and Swedish, and it's being outdoors. It means, or life out in the free. But it's also an activity. So if you do a survey and you ask, do you conduct friluftsliv, then you get 9 out of 10 say yes, I do, and I cherish it. And it's being outdoors kind of for the sake of it. And you may be skiing or walking or climbing or picking berries, but it's not driven by the performance. It's just for the sake of being outdoors. And I think that's also something that we're very proud of.
Yeah, I love it. Wylie, I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that everybody has their own relationship with the outdoors. Some people view it as maybe adversarial. They go out to like brave or battle the elements or something like that. Other people go for the exact opposite reason, to connect with nature, grounding in the, hugging trees and walking bare feet and doing all that. And so my personal relationship with the outdoors is certainly the latter. I like being out there and smelling the smells and taking it all in and really connecting in that way. But I don't think that it's anyone's right to really judge how people connect with their experience outdoors. I think that you can certainly you can have a positive experience battling the elements or being in conflict with nature when you're outside, if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking to kind of suffer out there and that brings something out in your psyche, that's ultimately positive, provided you're doing no harm to nature, of course. But I think the relationship people have with the outdoors is very personal, and as long as people are respecting nature and respecting others' experience with nature, I'm okay with whatever anybody wants to do outside.
But you should probably do it with a Houdini Rumpl blanket. How's the marketing gone for this product? Like, how does it exist in your worlds? Is it a featured product on both sites, or how has just talk a little bit about how the actual marketing and the go-to-market strategy with the product has gone? You want to kick us off, Wylie?
Sure. Yeah. So we just broadly speaking, aside from Houdini specifically, broadly speaking, we typically treat collaborations like this as kind of energy moments for the brand. We don't buy huge amounts of these products. Typically, we like them selling out fairly quickly, or having some predetermined shelf life. It's not something that's going to live multiple seasons. So it's a reason to communicate with our audience. Do something exciting, give them something special and limited that's not going to come back. But it's definitely not like a big revenue driver for the business. And that's never how we treat them. We have a couple of times with bigger partners, kind of got just wide-eyed about how big the reach and the revenue opportunity could be. And we always find time and again that these are much better suited to serve as energy moments, ways to communicate with your audience, and not necessarily big drivers of dollars. So that's how we started from the beginning, and that's kind of how we treated the marketing around it.
And collaborations have been a part of your brand identity since the beginning, especially like from the art side. You've done such a great job in resisting the sort of commodification of just blankets by making them into art pieces with all of your art collaborations. So this is sort of an extension of that with a great aspirational brand like Houdini. And then is it similar from your side, Josef? How do you guys look about go-to-market with projects like this?
Here, Rumpl has done a lot of collabs, and we have not. So we collaborate all the time with different actors, but this is the first kind of pure product design collaboration from our end. And so it was interesting ride and experience for us, and really the same as Wylie says. It's about making something that feels genuine and relevant, and that speaks to our users, but also hopefully to be able to introduce us to some of Rumpl's users and to new users.
And to just, project in both of your customers' minds that you're the type of brands that do cool things like this with cool brands like each other. It's just another way to engage people. Even if they don't buy it, it's like goes into their mindset. Okay, well, they're the kind of brand that does this and does that. Like, I just think it's just a great way to kind of build the brand identity and brand energy. Your energy moment. I think Wylie was a great statement as well. My other favorite brand that I live with is Pluffle, the dog bed for humans. And Wylie, I got to say, there's probably an opportunity to create the ultimate blanket for the dog bed. I don't know if you know Pluffle.
We share one of our suppliers with Pluffle, and I spoke to those guys a little while ago. I don't know if I think it was this year. It was like the highest increase in search terminology, human dog bed on Google, top 10 or something for the year 2023. Yeah, no, it's a thing. People are into those.
Those guys came out to our mastermind in Victoria, and they paid in Pluffles for all the founders of Pilot House and D2C. So we all have Pluffles integrated into our lives, and it's one of the more unlikely stories in D2C to be like, what you're building what, and then just to have it like catch in people's imaginations. So very cool. Nice. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on today. This was super interesting. I'll leave links to both brands. I think, both of these products will enrich any of our listeners' lives. So I urge you to go out and grab a mono crew here from Houdini or a beautiful Rumpl blanket. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
thanks so much.
So nice talking to you.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer.co. I'm Eric Dyck, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.